Hey guys, I hope you're doing good. I wanted to talk somewhat about spirituality and what we're doing wrong. I want to talk about what we're doing wrong when we try to understand spirituality. There's a lot of things we're doing wrong and a lot of things we can do better. And I think there's a lot of things that most people don't realize when they try to be healthy, or they try to connect with themselves, or they try to understand God. I see so many people trying to reach God on the outside. So a lot of people just trying to connect with the divine by doing something, by putting some practical attention behind it. I see a lot of people actually putting some action, trying to get closer to spirituality, themselves, health, God, but they do something and they look outward in the world. They don't look inward. And so there's a lot of people who escape from themselves, and then try to connect with something higher. I see this a lot in religion in general, that people are trying to connect with a religion that's written in a book and that says this is the right way and here's the wrong way. And I don't believe that can be further from the truth. I mean, it's far from the truth, I think. I think a lot of the times we don't give enough credit for all the mistakes that we make. I remember a quote that said, if you really want to become a winner, be so good at losing that everyone else has given up and you keep going. People who are so used to losing that it loses the value of losing, but it gives them even more bloodthirst for winning, if that makes sense. It was not exactly how the quote was, but I find it to be super relevant to talk about this when we're always striving to become something by doing something instead of just being something. I think I talked about this in my last live, and I said, like, we're so much like human doings and not human beings. I love that analogy, but I really feel as though so many people just keep doing things every day. Ask yourself, like, what have you actually done today that connected you even deeper to who you are, and like really stepped into the connection with yourself instead of just sitting with the emotions, instead of just doing the inner shadow work. Have the guts to look at yourself and what things are you doing that can actually, or what things can you be? Because I keep saying human doings, right? It's really when we don't do anything, I think we connect to ourselves much more. It's when we stop doing things that we get connected to spirituality. It's when we hold space for our emotions. It's when we dare to not push a narrative that we have. I see it in myself. I sometimes feel like I have to do things to be good enough. So that's conditional love. I'm giving myself conditional love. So I keep doing things in hopes of maybe someone will love me, or maybe that someone is me. I'm just a mirror of whatever I've been through in my life. And yeah, I tend to just be a human doing instead of being human being, and actually dare to sit with the hard emotions, sit with the strong emotions, sit with the problems in my life instead of running from them by doing something. And I find it to be to see this as a pattern, and even my clients as well as my friends and family, we do things all the time to hopefully gain some insights, and we feel that we're good enough. But it actually, I feel that more often than never, the more stuff that they stuff into their day, the less connection they have to themselves. And I even see this in morning routines. I love morning routines. I'm not very good at doing the same thing every morning, but I really do try to. I wake up and I tell myself, I will not touch my phone, and then yet 3 minutes later, I'm actually with my phone in my hand, having awareness. What the fuck am I doing? And I try to put down my phone and I'm be like, okay, I'm gonna stretch, and then I'm gonna meditate, and then I'm gonna do my morning prayer, and then I'm maybe gonna do some push-ups. I'm gonna go get a cold shower, and I'm gonna like get things done today. Go have a nice protein fat breakfast. Eat some healthy like avocado or olive oil and even butter or ghee. And I'm like, I'll take my supplements so I'll get a healthy gut, or I'll supplement so my gut keeps staying healthy. I have a lot of videos on how to balance your gut. So if you want to know about that, you can, what can you comment? You can usually comment something below in the comments, but I forgot what it was. It was probably yogurt. I think you can comment yogurt. If you comment yogurt, I'm going to send you links on how I healed my gut. But, I have all these morning rituals. I'm saying I have to do all these morning rituals. If I don't do it, I'm not a good enough person. I tell myself these things, and I know it's not true. I know I am just a perfect human being, just like you, with a lot of mistakes and a lot of blessings and a lot of benefits as well, with all and everything. That's how I see me. That's how I see you. You lack a lot of things. And if I see that you lack a lot of things, I also lack a lot of things. And I could be better. And I think this is the big theme of everything, that we try to do so many things, and we try to make rituals so we will become better people. And I do believe that it's possible to become better people by doing things. But I still think that spirituality and connection to the divine self or the divine higher being is actually not when you do something. It's when you stop doing things. So I find myself doing things all the time. I noticed recently I'm much more in the now. And I also want to talk about that actually. And if you have any questions, put them down in the comments below. I love interacting with you guys in my live. So if you have anything to share, please put it in the comments. I would love to tap into that too. But I find it to be super motivating to understand that the less that I do, the better it is for my soul connection. Like my intuition will become better if I do less. My, how can I say, my intuition will become better. My connection to other people will become better. My self-healing will become better. If I meditate, meditation is sitting in your own company with yourself, with your own breath, trying to think as little as possible, which is very much almost impossible to do. But I do find it very beneficial to do the meditation. We know from scientific research that meditation actually works to become better people and actually heal more. Meditation and mindfulness is something that is just mind-blowingly healthy. And the fact is, you sit and you do absolutely nothing. Well, you can say one thing. Well, if I meditate, I will be sitting or lying. So I'm actually doing something, but I can't be in life without either standing, walking, sitting, lying, or maybe some other activity. But, that's how you are in life. That's literally how it is to be in the now, right? You're sitting either looking at this video right now, or you're standing, or you're walking, but you're at least being some way or another. And that is what meditation is. It's literally noticing that you're sitting on your butt. It's noticing that you're breathing air in through your nose, out through your mouth, or through your nose only, or doing breath work, which is out the mouth, in the mouth. So it's all about doing something. We cannot be humans without doing something. But yet we keep searching for the answers on the outside of ourselves. So I'm doing a meditation. I'm thinking, okay, when I'm done with this meditation, all the answers will now be more clear on the outside. That's true, but that's only because I have connected with my inside. So it's not really the outside I'll get the answers. You don't get the answers to an outside God that you can pray to, that you can go to church and talk to, or you can go to the mosque, or you can go to whatever basement or whatever altar you have. Really, you connect to the divine being, that the spirit I call God, or people call God. You connect to that on a higher level when you stop talking outward, but you start talking inward, understanding that your emotions and your words are all the time communicating with God or the divine or whatever you want to call it. So just talking through the spiritual involvement that I've been through and the journey that I've been through, the more I noticed my intuition, the more I learned what I can do, how I can channel messages, and how I can meet people in an energy of holding space for them, understanding them on a deep level by just looking at them and feeling the energy and noticing the small signals that pop up in my subconscious mind. And that's really where I feel we find the answers is in our subconscious mind. It's because it's inward. It's literally where we can find the truth within us. The truth within us is usually connected to being with you and holding space with yourself. So, and how do you do that? Meditation. There's numerous, I've even done a few of them, but there's meditation on my YouTube channel at least. I think the one is in Danish. I might be in a visual English one as well. But it's literally being in the space. It could also be you listening to this video without actually having to listen consciously, being like, I have to hear all these words and understand them. No, I think we also connect to things when we just, it's like listen to a piece of music in the background. It kind of affects your mood, even if your subconscious mind only notice the music. And this is the same way I feel God's or the divine or the spirituality or God's or the universe speaks to us all the time. It's like music in the background that slowly but surely keeps affecting us in a manner that either stresses us out, makes us calm, makes us happy, frustrated, sad, all these things to trigger the evolvement of the self, trigger you evolving from something into another. That the transformation that we go through through life, we transform daily, every time, constantly. You cannot transform. Some people talk about shifting timelines. It's the same. It's the same strategy. It's the same concept that you, for every choice that you make, consciously, unconsciously, or physically, emotionally, you shift timelines all the time. That's living in the 5D, like people call 3D and 5D. We're living in 3D where we have no really concept of what's really going on, but the shifts that happens in the universe all the time. I keep thinking like, what if all of this, I'm not saying even what if, there's a very big chance of all of this, you and I, not just only through social media, even we met in real life, face to face, that all of this is like an algorithm. All of this is a construction of a reality, of a matrix. That might be it describing it. So we're living in some kind of a matrix where all these things happen constantly at the same time, but it feels like something is past and something is present and something is future. And we keep hammering our minds in the past and the future, but really all we have is the present. And so we keep thinking that I'm moving from here into the future, but actually you're just stagnant in the present all the time. It's just, that's the only thing you can rely on, is that you're never going to get to the future. You're never going to get back to the past, because when have you ever gotten to the past? You can only think of the past by thinking of what happened, or events or memories, but that's just events and memories. So that's memories of events, actually. And we keep thinking we can go back in the past because the mind doesn't understand what is the present or the future or the past. If we think enough about something, it almost feels like it comes alive again. So if you think about the trauma that you had in your past, you can always make it almost like happen again in your body. You get maybe a reaction. If you're afraid of spiders, if I asked you to close your eyes, really visualize the last time you saw a spider where it was too close and it scared the hell out of you, you would almost have the same reaction in your body again. But all you did was activate a memory. Or a memory combined with some, let's say, imagination. I pull down some imagination from the divine and from my consciousness, and I'm creating from the past and from my fantasy something in the past that never happened, but I can tell my mind that this happened. And so I can use that and bring it into creation of almost feeling like it's in the now. So I take something in the past, I sprinkle it with something. It could even be my emotions of things that I thought happened or could have happened, or think, oh, it could have been much, much worse if that happened. And we imagine the much worse scenario, and we take that past of all these horrible things that could have happened. And we bring them into the future and thinking, what if this happened to me right now? And then you feel the whole flush of your body like reacting to some fear or love or frustration or happiness. And all of that is you creating. You just creating in the present right now. It's you consciously and subconsciously creating something, bringing something into creation. And that's why I want to say that's also how you manifest. You think of something that you really want, that is a combination of your past and something you imagine would really be something that you would love to have in your life. And you bring the past experiences, but not the bad ones, the positive aspect of what you think could manifest it, something that feels really real. And you take the two of them and you combine them into something like imagine when I had that money when I was younger, all that money made me so happy, even though my mom took some of it, or even though I used them up way too fast, or even though the bank took them because I didn't pay taxes from them, or whatever it could be in your past. And then you're like, but I had money and I had such fun with some of that money. And you're like, oh, the fun thing about money, I put it in here. And then I'm imagining more money, just like back then. So I take a little bit from that, which I brought here now. So I take a little bit from this and I create this emotion like, what if that past can be brought in? That emotion of having that money right now made me so fucking happy. Not the money, but the things that I did with it, the happenings, the memories of that was just really nice. And I bring down more into that, feeding it love and energy, and be like, wow, this is now. I almost feel like winning the lottery again. I almost feel like when my granddad gave me like 10 grand for having fun, or like education, I finished my high school, he gave me that money to invest in something. I take that down and I manifest it, and I use the past experiences and good memories to create something new. And then it's in creation. It's already happening now. It's like you're breathing light into it, and a consciousness and love and respect and joy, and all these strong emotions of like, oh, think about also the money problems I would have with this, but in a good way, that I would feel like giving my family more, even my friends, paying their bills. I hope they don't expect it all the time, but I would love actually to set some boundaries around that as well. If someone expects me to pay for them, I have to, put my mind to it and be like, if they expected that, I would also. So you kind of like prepare the whole thing. How would you react when you win the lottery? How will you react when you have all the things that you dream about having? What's the negative sides and what are the good sides? So you kind of calculate it, but emotionally you're like, but it's such an amazing thing. I wouldn't even regret it. It's already here. I have all this money, or I have all this joy. I put things into it from my imagination and collected from my past as well. And I only create good memories and good manifestation about it. It can be equally as strong if you really fear it. So like I talked to you guys, before. I have a little bit of hiccups apparently. I talked before, like imagining a spider. So you can even bring that spider in and be like, oh no, I hope I don't see a spider again. I'm so afraid of spiders. And you create all this fear. And you're like, I don't want to see a spider. I never want to see spiders. I have to stop thinking about spiders. You know what you're going to get more of? Spiders. Because you're so pushing so much energy into that memory. You're only going to be confronted about it even more. And the same goes with hardship. Why do I always date narcissists? Why do I always find some girlfriend, boyfriend that gives me pain? Why do I always, lose my money or lose my job? I hate it. I'm not good enough. And so it is. The universe said, you just created something again. And that's the manifestation of it. So when we understand this, we'll be like, no, but I'm going to get it in the future. But listen, I just talked to you about, this is the future, this is the past. You can never be here or be here. You can only be in the now. So you putting something in the future means it's not going to happen, because this is unreachable. You cannot go into the future. The future's not going to wait for you and then you enter the future. You create the future and then you walk into it, because there's no limit here. You're still in the now. You walk with all the creation that you create all the time. So it's like trying to hold water. it seeps out through your hands. But if water keeps coming, then it's not a problem. You don't even have to catch the water anymore and hold it and keep it. You just enjoy the flow of the water. And that's the same thing with manifestation. That's the same thing of connecting with God and the divine and the universe. It's a constant flow of things that you just connect to. And clearly some of this is very channeled because I'm listening to all these things myself, and I'm like, yeah, it sounds about right. But yeah, so I really want to remind you, you cannot live in your past. I've heard this before. Mark, you're living in the past. No, what I'm doing, I'm taking things from the past and I'm putting it into the now, saying I have to worry about this because that hurt me before, and I want to take that pain and make sure it's not here. So I don't want this pain again. So I'll take some of that pain in here and say, look, this I don't want again. Dude, you just took it in from the past. What are you doing? Like, why are you taking things in from the past into your present? I'm like, no, because I saw someone else's future and I want to reach this level. So I want to reach this level, but I don't want this past to catch up with me and ruin the future. And again, dude, you only have the memory of the past. You don't have the future. And you only have an idea of the future, which is like a memory that you created yourself. So, but what is the past really? Isn't the past just my interpretation of what happened? Because the two of us and all of us who are watching this, we could all experience this same life, and all of you would have a different opinion about what happened in this life. So that means we're all creating at the same time. And it's not like this life happened and Mark was wearing this shirt. No, because we know from witnesses that they will see. That's why in the 80s, so many people, innocent people, ended up in jail, even in the 90s, because they all used eyewitnesses since way back when. So many innocent people were actually sitting in jail, having long sentences because some random person thought that they had a blue shirt on that day, and then that matched the lineup of people saying potentially guilty people that could stand in line at the police station, and someone as an eyewitness would point one out. But we know, if I would do like a suggestive psychology suggesting to you, if you are a witness, was the person wearing a yellow jacket or a blue jacket? Oh, I don't know. Maybe a yellow or a blue. It could have been blue. So now you just take the not the fantasy, but the imagination, and you sprinkle on the past a blue jacket. But the factual thing is, on videotape, we saw a green jacket of someone, let's say someone was violent towards someone. And in the past, there's a video camera filming the past. So we bring this into the present, but nobody's looking at that video camera yet because maybe the tape hasn't been found yet. So we use eyewitnesses, and we're saying like, so was it a blue jacket? And when you're suggesting this, a lot of police officers have been doing this through history, FBI, CIA, you name it, whatever. They all suggest something to you. It's like, where did you see? Was he wearing a coat? You're already suggesting it's a he, even though if you didn't know about it, and you're just a witness, and it could be a butch lady, and you now have the interpretation of thinking that this thing was a man in a blue jacket, but it could have been a woman in a yellow jacket. And that's the crazy thing about the 80s and the 90s. We know from psychology that a lot of innocent people were literally also to this day is sitting in prison innocent and never did the crime that they were put in jail before because of eyewitnesses. So what does this tell us? That you as an eyewitness is nonsense. It doesn't make sense. So that's why I'm saying you can watch this live or any event happening in front of you with hundreds of other people, and everyone would have a different interpretation because it all lines up with how was the questions asked, what was the purpose of asking these questions. And so you kind of almost manifest a lie, because when we actually find the documentation from a video saying it was a woman in a yellow jacket, and you're like, no, it was a man in a green jacket. And so it couldn't be further from the truth what you think it was, but that's your interpretation. So what I'm saying is your past is one big mix of imagination and hyper-focused attention. Because right now, when I did this video, can you tell me how many candle lights are behind my back? And maybe you noticed it, but could you tell me what the color of the windowsill behind me was? Was it gray or was it blue? Was there 3 or 4 candle lights? Yeah, neither, right? So already when I asked that question, a lot of people were actually, depending on how fast you work, because I didn't have patience enough for waiting for answers in the comments. But what happens when I do that, so I'm suggesting 2 options, or I could suggest 3 options. And you would already have chosen one of these options, be like, was it 3 candlelights? Because there's a mirror effect of the window. So now you saw 4 people attacking a blue jacket person. But in fact, it was 2 people attacking a person with a white jacket on, just to play with the fantasy of it all. So I'm just using this as an example of how the brain works. That's why you cannot rely on your brain when it's depends on who asks you the question. That's why propaganda, brainwashing, suggestive things like this can really be super manipulative. So it will manipulate your brain to think of things. And when it doesn't find the image of it, it takes the imagination, it sprinkles that on the past perception, because it's only perception. The past that you experience has always just been a perception. So your past is as much as a lie as it is the truth. And that is the truth. You cannot rely on your past. Every situation, event you ever experienced isn't 100% of what you think it was. So that also goes to say, like, that's why I often try to tell myself, what all my memories are attached to is limiting beliefs. So if I'm a victim in life, I would find a lot of happenings in the past of saying, I called the cinema and they didn't have more tickets. That's so typical. Always sold out when I want to go to the cinema. But in fact, it could have been like this, that the person said, it's sold out, but in 1 hour, there's another show going on. You can book the tickets. But all I hear, because my narrative is I never get tickets, I never get to catch a break, I will then not hear him offering on the phone another cinema ticket for the same movie in an hour or in half an hour or 10 minutes or in another cinema that's like 500 meters from the first. So again, my narrative is, oh, I can't catch a break. Everyone's just against me. Life is horrible and life is tough. But then you see people who always catch a break. They're always lucky. They always find something. I used to have a friend like that. It didn't matter where we go. If we were at a concert and we're like, oh, damn it, they're sold out of tickets, he would look down at the ground and would find 2 tickets for us, like that. He would manifest all the time. It's insane. I've never seen anything like it. When I was a kid, I didn't even understand that he was manifesting all the time. He literally found tickets on the floor right at the entrance. And he would pick it up and you would think everyone would be like, oh, that's my tickets. I dropped them. I need them back. No, it was like literally, I just found them. And people were like, where did you find those? And he's like, well, I guess we're going to a concert. And then we're like, in the concert, it's like, we wish we had more money. We can buy beers. We're like 13 years old. We wish we could buy, it's in Denmark, so you can do that. And so, and they were like, oh, but we don't have enough money. And what happens, we're literally like walking down a path at the concert, and on the ground is 300 kroners, which would buy us like 6 beers at that time. And so it was insane what he could do. And he didn't even know. And unfortunately, he hung out with me, so I skewed him a lot. I didn't help him at that time because I had no awareness. I was a victim. My dad beat me and he locked me in and he threw out my toys, all these things. But he also was a good dad sometimes. And he was cuddly and loving and all these things. But most of the time, most of my memories of him is when he disappointed me or he mistreated me, because that took so much more space. So that was my limiting beliefs here, that my victimness that he trained me on overshadowed all the good things. So if I take this into my present, I would be, oh, I'm so afraid of losing something. I'm so afraid of getting beaten up. Oh, I'm so afraid of losing my toys. I'm so afraid of all these things if I don't deal with the past. And then I go, if I'm not aware, and that's the theme of this, I will then look for God on the outside, not inside me, but on the outside. I would ask him questions on the outside, and I would wonder, like, why don't I get any answers? I will go to churches. I will travel the world and try to find new churches. Where is God? I have to find him. But in fact, God is there all the time. He's in you. In fact, my belief, your consciousness is literally beamed into this shell that we call a body, like I talked about in the Matrix before. It's beamed down, and I think Bruce Lipton talks about this as well. So there's this body of a live organism on the concept in this matrix we call man or woman. And the consciousness is then beamed down into your body. So it's almost like a puppeteer, except you're controlling this body. So when I do these things, it could be conscious or unconscious, because the puppeteer, which is my soul, my divine connection, which is where I'm connected to God, or the divine spirit world or universe, or whatever you want to call it. It doesn't matter what belief you have, actually. It's beamed down into this body, and we think we're separate from everything. But in fact, every scientific research we've ever done shows that we're much more sentient. I forget what the right word is. You can comment the right word down here so I can be better at English. Sentient being. That's the word. Sentient being. So we're sentient beings, meaning that we can actually measure pain in my body by having someone else sit in a room like 200 meters away from me. And if I'm connected, and I'm like connected to this person, I know them, I've spoken to them, I've hugged them, I connected with them, maybe it was an ex-lover of mine or my ex-girlfriend or something like that, I can then connect so much with them that they could know if I'm in pain, or I can know if they're in pain. We know this from plants. In many studies, they put a plant in one room, and the next room they put a plant, and they tortured one plant by cutting the leaves, and they would put measurements on the other plant in the other room, and that other plant could feel and reacted like in energy. It reacted in the what you call like a wave. You can see the measurement of the plant, and they of course had a third plant that wasn't even part of the study actively, but that was also measured. And what we found is that all the plants, they depending on how the relationships were with these plants prior to this, they all reacted, but in different strengths to when that happened. So if I cut a leaf, the plant in the other room instantly will react to that one plant that I cut the leaf on. So we're all connected. And when we look at ourselves as being divided into many things, and like there's just the fact that we believe there's a division in the world. Like we're not connected. We always find something to hate, and each corrupt government or a big corporation would always promote or talk about how you are divided by, you're not connected with anyone. And it could be skin color, race, it could be ethnicity, it could be country, it could be tall or small, or it could be anything. Thinking no, the animals are not valuable, but humans are, and things like that. And the fact is, we're all connected, and that means on many levels that everything that you think comes into reality and will affect me as well. So if you're super negative and you walk around, and you've probably seen the movie called Butterfly Effect. If you haven't, I recommend it. The butterfly effect is really like the effect of a butterfly's wings right here, right now, can affect cosmos on the other side of whatever galaxy is there. So we all know these things are connected. And if you've ever been on mushrooms just once, I recommend, I can't recommend it, but I would say if I was you, I would definitely try mushrooms at least once in my life. But in therapy, not alone, with a trip sitter, someone that can guide you and hold space for you and that knows what happens if it brings fear up. Don't do it if you're schizophrenic, if you have extreme anxiety or panic attacks and stuff like that. Then deal with that first, and then that's what I would do anyways. But you realize in those, even ayahuasca, you realize that people are very often stepping out of that, realizing that we're all connected and we're all divinely connected to some higher spirit. Some people step out of it with a lot of fear because someone didn't hold space for them and didn't have a trip sitter and so on. But yeah, so again, looking for God or the divine or the universe or divine connection by, I have to do yoga. If I don't do that, I cannot be divine. I cannot connect with myself. I have to do meditation. If I don't do it, I cannot connect with myself. I have to do, go to the gym or eat healthy, or I have to, give myself pain and be stupid and get drunk before I can feel anything. No, the fact is that you are always connected to the divine, but you thinking that you have to do something to connect is, I would say, a misunderstanding. But you understanding that you are so divinely connected. If you knew right now, you decided to know that tonight when you sleep, you are connected to God and you will have conversations with the divine. You will have conversations with the divine. You don't have to thrive for it. Even me speaking it into existence right now is how it becomes reality. But for it to become reality, you have to understand that what I'm saying is also truth. But if you decide it not to be, then you're also right, and then it won't happen. So if you anticipate it, it will happen. If you look forward to it, it will happen. And you're like even excited about it, it will happen. Even more, I would say. So if you really surrender, and you maybe even, if you have a hard time really connecting to it, you can do like mantras before you go to bed. You can do meditation, which is literally just listening to your breath. Like feel the wind that goes in your nose, feel the wind that goes out your nose. Maybe count 1, in, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, up to 10, meaning you actually breathe 5 times, and then you start over. And then that's all you have to do. As soon as you start noticing, I'm thinking, or I'm doing something, or I'm thinking about yesterday or tomorrow, you'd be like, hey, I was thinking, that's okay, that's nice, but I'll postpone the thinking for later. And then you step back and you count all over. So if you reached 3, when you were counting, you have to go back to 1, and you keep doing that. And this can take years. For some people, they learn it so fast. But the beautiful thing is we're living in changing times right now. The consciousness of all of us is coming together. So if you really want something right now, you're manifesting it much quicker than anyone ever in recent history. I would say that the last 1,000 to 2,000 years, you manifest it much quicker now, because you're living in divine times where there's just energy and space for it now. Maybe it's the age of Aquarius or whatever does it, but it definitely is creating space for you to connect way more with your spirituality and yourself. You don't have to think it's magic. You don't have to think it's something that you have to do. You have to, what do you call that? Knips in Danish. I forgot that. I forgot the word. But you could do that and think like, oh, why doesn't it work? But it actually could work. But the thing is that we don't believe it because we're living in the past. Said, I've done that before. That didn't happen. So this must be true. That's very logically put, that because your past didn't teach you the things that you believe in, well, actually the past taught you all that you believe right now. So everything that you don't believe right now is because of your past. When you distrust anything I say, it's because of your past. So all that you're creating is more of that. If you're happy there, go create more. Enjoy it. That's your life experience. But if you're tired of what you did in the past has given you these hard lessons, then maybe think about your past differently. Maybe I was like an eyewitness of my past, and you have to look at my full video to understand what I'm saying now. But I'll post it after, so you'll see it when it's not live anymore. The only way to manifest something new right now is deciding maybe what I thought in my past, what was and what wasn't, maybe I wasn't right. Maybe it was just perception at that time, in that mindset, in that consciousness. You will realize what really becomes true is what you decide was real or not. So if I tell myself I'm not good at riding a bicycle, I don't in the present want to ride a bicycle because my past is telling me I'm not good at it. But if my past tells me I'm really good at it, I won't even think about riding a bicycle. It's easy. It's like, what? It doesn't even take up space in my mind. It's just something I do. But if like I have family members who hate driving a car because they're afraid. So there's some fear in the past. Fear of not being good enough combined with fear of maybe having, an accident. It doesn't have to be a big one, but just big enough to manifest that fear about driving. So in my present, driving is a big thing. So it's like, oh my God, it consumes me. This fear or this worry about driving a car consumes me right here in the present. And so even if I'm in the present and someone says, do you want to drive a car in the future? Oh no, this fear consumes me because I know in the future I have to do something I don't want. But all this is you deciding the truth in the past and what will become in the future. And none of these things exist. The past doesn't exist. The future doesn't exist. You are only here right now listening to me. That's all you are. And you cannot even change that if you wanted to. Of course, you can turn this off, but I mean, then you will just sit there with that turned off. You will still just be in the now. You'll still just be in the present. And a lot of people just don't realize this. They live in the past. And even I do. So when I speak this, I'm listening as Mark, the human here on earth, I'm listening too, because there's a channeled message from the divine in this. So I want to give you as many tools as I can if you keep following this profile. I want to give you as many tools as I can to really show you that you cannot be divided from other people. You cannot be divided from the space that we're in right now. You cannot be divided in any way and sense of the word. You're connected to the trees on the outside, even the trees on the other side of the earth. You're connected to the weather, to the ocean, to the air that you breathe. You're part of all this organism. You in a whole. You like if you look at my body, you would say that's just Mark's body. No, it's my blood vessels. It's parasites. It's bacteria. It's moving organisms that creates this, and actually it's electrons and even atoms and things like that. That you just perceive this as calling it Mark, but really, it's you're just looking at something and you're deciding what it is. But in fact, it's a moving mass all the time, just like you are, and the moving mass is just now talking to you. And you decided it to be words. And I know it's very abstract to think about this, but when we decide something is something, we manifest what it is. And so if you judge this and say, what Mark says is crazy, you will be right. It is crazy. But if you decide, maybe there's value in this, maybe I should look into this, maybe just sit with it, you are then right. And you will get more of that. So what we fear and we run from, we will probably be chased by. What you fear and look at and accept as being part of your fear, understanding it, accepting it as it is, and realizing it, I only have the present. So this thing either moves in my past or is just here now and will be nothing later. If you're afraid of spiders, you probably looked at every corner that you walk by and see if there are any spiders because you taught yourself that. But if you're not afraid of spiders, you wouldn't even notice if it's right in front of you. It's literally over your head. Maybe a spider's just right now, as I spoke, could have crawled down and just hover above my head and even crawled in my hair. And some of you will be cringing like, no, don't say that. That's how much your past has created fear in your present. And you are controlled by that fear. That's why a lot of people listen to the government. That's why a lot of people listen to the TV. That's why a lot of people listen to scary stories or murder mysteries or true crime things, because they're so occupied with the fear. And the fear is right next to, in your amygdala, is right next to, thank you 330 for saying that. She said, great insight, thank you. So realizing what you surround yourself with, you will become. If you're occupied with true crime, guess what you're attracting into your life? If you see horror movies all the time, guess what you're attracting into your life? I'm not saying you're going to be killed by a murder in a ski mask today, but I'm just saying you will attract the energies of that. And even low vibrating energies of even someone who passed or who is in the present right now with you are more likely to step into your life. So what if you connected with the highest divine love of joy and happiness and love just in general? It's just connecting with someone being around people who are just falling in love all the time. You can be there in two ways. You can look at it and maybe, well, you can even be in many ways, but let's just look at two of them. You can be in there and say, oh, why don't I have that? Oh, now you are attracting lack. You look at the present and you say, in my past, I didn't meet anyone. So in the present, I have no one. So I lack something. And so it is. And so you're right. You manifest that into reality right now. But if you look at the kissing couples and the loving couples that are around you and be like, oh, that's so sweet. I love that. They're so to serve each other, and love is just beautiful. And you don't judge it other ways by saying either I have it or I don't have it. If you recognize love, here's an insight. If you recognize love in others and you see it and you be like, wow, it's because you have that. You have that exact same love inside you. You could not see love if you weren't also love. You cannot see hatred if you already are hatred. You have to embody hate. You have to embody love to understand what is in the present is in you. And that's why I think it's so important connecting to your dark sides as well. I'm not saying I have a dark side of dismantling mice like a sick person. That means if you're just doing that all the time, now you put energy into that sickness that you have, like mentally imbalanced. But if you have this interest and passion for doing something that's creating love or something beautiful from it, then you will create that more of that. But if you're curious about what is this dark side of mine, I want to understand it, and you sit with the emotions of that and be like, why is it that I sometimes wish, it's just examples, all of these, but if I wish harm on other people, why is it that I feel that way sometimes, that I just wish like someone in traffic, like, oh, go die or something like that? Why is it that I feel that? It's because it's a frustration inside of me. I want to learn more about that. Where does it stem from? Who have I seen react to the traffic the same way? Or who have I seen or heard saying something like that? Often father, mother, brother, family, uncles and aunts, or even friends. It's been in your environment. So when you start looking at your environment and only making sure being around things that is divinely created, something that is high vibrating like love or authenticity or honesty or even being in the present, gratefulness. These things, when you're around that, or around people who feel like that, you will then attract more of that same thing. And so that's why it's so important that what you listen to of music, what are they actually singing? Have you noticed what they're singing? I would just say it could maybe be beneficial doing a cleanse of actually noticing what are the music you're listening to about. What are the movies you're watching about? If it's almost always drama, I would probably guess that you have a lot of drama in your life, or you're attracted to drama as well. If you listen to a lot of angry rap music, let's go back to the music part, you probably have a lot of anger in you that only comes out through this music. And maybe you'll even manifest more anger by exercising that anger. And I think it's important to know our emotions and go through anger. And anger is a normal creation, as well as happiness is a normal, natural creation. So I'm just asking you to have awareness about these things, like music, what movies are you watching, what people are you around, what type of food are the people around you eating, and even like what's your environment looking like? How does it look when you look around? What are the paintings on the wall? What is the subconscious message of a lot of these things that you're around? Is the energy good? And I'm not saying you cannot be around bad energy or low energy, but if you're high vibrating, you won't notice it anymore. And that's why if you have a relationship and you notice that the person is not creating as much trouble anymore, is not angry anymore, but maybe you hear stories from them, like they were angry, but you weren't home, or you were like doing this other thing, or you were in the basement while they were on the first floor, or something like that. Really, you're just creating again. You're manifesting and attracting that when they're angry, you don't even notice them. You're not even around them. There's actually a lot of really terrible things happening right now, but you're not around them because you attracted being here in this energy right now. That's also, of course, there's an algorithm on Instagram, but the big algorithm is the universe. So that always rules everything. And you can say God or whatever, but it always rules everything. And that means when you're watching this and you were attracted to this, it's because there's a message in it, all of this for you. And you're literally one of the few people on earth that was watching this message with me as I was listening to it, as I was channeling it, that literally wanted you to have this message, even if you're not ready for it. At least there's a small manifestation of that coming into your present, into your right now. And you manifested this yourself. You attracted this yourself. And the fact that you invested your energy in more of this, you at least invested in energy that is about the subject. And if you were triggered by it, it's just the first step of healing. So if I'm triggered by anything, it's just a resistance in me. And the resistance is always asking is to release, forgive, move on. Not forget, because again, you remember the past. We don't forget. We keep on holding on to things that we would either feel has defined us or wants to heal us or wants to hurt us even more, because sometimes the uncomfortable pain is what we're used to so much that we will look for it again in the future, which also don't exist, but we think it does. And so we will in the now look for it to hopefully manifest something in the future. But future, past doesn't exist, just memories and right now, like I've been saying. So all of you just attracted these messages, and all it's asking you to do is have awareness about this time shift. This, you're literally making a choice yourself. It's a timeline shift. You actually, I've tried to explain this before in this live, but like, let's imagine these are all timelines. Every finger is a timeline. And right now you're here. And when you manifest something beautiful and more positive, and let's say this is the highest divine time, this is the most potential timeline you can be on. But right now you're here and you stepped all the way from down here, but you are right here right now. And so the more you shift into the whole loving, authenticity, following your passion, listening to your intuition, doing daily practices, even you don't have to, but you know it feels good. So you're doing meditation, you're doing breath work, you're doing a healthy food or living healthy. So slowly you will shift from this timeline to this timeline. And sometimes you will even jump timelines all the way up here. In that level, you'll jump all the way up here. And then you're like, oh, I really wanted to get up here, but maybe I should do this one thing. And no, you fell down to this timeline. You're like, oh, life is hard. And oh, wait a minute, life is so hard. And then you're down here and like, wait a minute, I've been on this timeline before, like consciously. I actually know not to stay here. It's not healthy for me. So you know what? I will forget my past and I will not be afraid. I will be authentic. I will love myself and I will be good to others. I know karmic rules are reality. So I will just stay here and accept all the emotions of being in this pain down here in that level. Let's call it level 2 because it's like 1, 2. So I'm only on level 2, but I was just on level 9 before. And I don't care. It's okay. It's because I'm learning something from level 2. So I'll stay in this timeline shift down here. And you know, more I accept it, wait a minute, poof, you're up here suddenly again. You're like, oh, that's all I needed to do. I just needed to accept an emotion down here or a thought and not judge it and just be with it. And then I jumped on level 9 right now. And what you don't realize is when you jump on level 10, zip, 10 new timelines are jumping in front of you. And when I say 10, it's more like a trillion or never-ending timelines. But in reality, we only have like a shift that can happen within a few timelines at a time, but it goes so fast. And it's like playing a piano. It's like you keep going. It's like a melody of life. But really what I'm trying to say is like, stop thinking so much about your past. Or let me say this. Think about your past all you want, but it's going to define your now. So to find out if you want to be a slave of your past with limiting beliefs, automatic behavior, or if you want to have consciousness about what your limiting beliefs and your past trauma was, and maybe even change the story. Let me give you an example. Oh, my dad, he was just so strict and he hurt me and he just hated me. He was just a tyrant and he was just hurting me because he enjoyed it and he was just so bad. I'm just such a victim. I mean, I hate it here, and you know, life just always mistreat me. And then, wait a minute, what am I doing? Why am I saying these things? I know it felt true because I saw it in my past, but now I know there's a different side to that story as well. Yes, my dad hurt me, but I got up again. Yes, my dad burned my toys, but I got new toys. And maybe those toys weren't for me anymore. Like with everything else in the universe, when something is not right for me anymore, it kind of leaves. If I have friends that don't like me anymore, they leave, or they get angry about something. That I was like, that's weird. You're never angry about this thing, but now it just is a big thing for my friend, and they stepped out of my life. Oh, maybe that friend wasn't for me anymore. Maybe if I just accept what happens and respect that they want to leave instead of holding on to something that's not mine. Instead, I can be like, listen, friend, I want to keep you in my life. I love you, but I understand if you're angry and I did something, and I'm sorry if I did something to hurt you. I definitely didn't mean to, or I did mean to hurt you. So I could have boundaries. And so you can understand the pain that I'm going through. And they'll be like, I'm never going to be your friend again. And they leave. And I can be like, oh, maybe that friend leaving me would serve me. Maybe he or she that left me because they're on their journey of releasing the past trauma that they have. And so me trying to hold on to them even slows them down. So again, I can look at the past of saying, a friend left me and they were so stupid and just so tough on me and it's so hard and I will miss them till the end of my life. Yeah, but I could also say a friend chose to leave me because they didn't feel to be part of my life right now. Maybe they didn't have the energy. Maybe, I don't know. I don't have to understand it, but I have to accept it. That's okay. And I'm not a victim because they left me, because when one door closes, another one opens. And I even have more time for my existing friends now. But I only have 2 other friends. Wow, you have 2 friends? There's another person down the street has 0 fucking friends. So you have 2 friends? That's amazing. How lucky are you? So again, the same story. We can look at the same story. We can shift it all the time. And I'm inviting you to look at all your past that has hurt you and find good reason to love that. What have you learned? How did it make you strong? How can you benefit from someone hitting you or hurting you? How can you benefit? How can you love your life right now when someone has tortured you in your past? Where you can look at the things that you learned from it and be like, I'm fucking proud of myself. I got up again. You can even say, oh, I can't get up because this happened. I understand. It's just because you're in the process of that. You're in the process of accepting what happened will serve your highest and best good. And guys, the main message here, whatever happens to you is happening for your highest and best good. Even if it hurts, it's just because you haven't seen that there's a softer, better, more loving way to get out of the pain that you're in right now. And you cannot imagine what beautiful things await you on the other side of all of this pain. And I'm going to leave you with this, saying that there's so much hope for you and that you are in control of manifestation, of the manifestation coming into your life. But also, you're not fully in control because the divine creator within you is also knowing exactly what serves you and what doesn't, and want you to have the teachings, the spiritual teachings of being on earth that is physically, mentally, and soulfully painful and beautifully loving, just overall, just an amazing adventure. And so many souls would have wished they had that experience with you. But since we're not divided, we're all connected. They're actually having an experience right now with you, but they're not aware when they're on earth. But that's for another time, guys. I thank you so much for being here with me and allowing me to hold space for all this. It's a lot to take in. I don't expect you all to understand all of what I'm saying, depending on where you are in your spiritual journey. but I have so much more to offer. So go follow me after this video or right now. And I thank you for letting me entertain you with all this in the middle of the night. It's 1 a.m. in the night here, and I'm going to leave you with that. I love you guys. Love yourself like I see you. I'm just a mirror of you. See you next time. Mwah. Thank you for watching.